This is a quick demo of Dapper. As you can see, I've got some music here inside of my iTunes, and specifically what I've done is I've created playlists that have the word Dapper in them. Any playlist that has the word Dapper is going to be synced over to my DAP, and any of the music inside those playlists is going to go as well. And so what I have is a couple of different playlists. They're organized for me by date, so I can get my latest songs onto my DAP. And I've made some changes there. So in fact, what my Dapper will tell me is that there are new things in iTunes. So whenever this little icon here in the menu bar turns red, I know that I've got new information there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug my DAP in, and it's automatically going to connect to it for me. Now what's interesting is I have my artists split between my two different cards inside of this DAP. I have artists A through H on the left, I through Z on the right, and I can drag this slider to automatically switch and move artists between one card or the other. I could also click on this little calculator icon, in which case Dapper will try and figure out the best layout for me and automatically set that up. Now that my Astle and Kern is coming online, I see that the internal storage card is connected, and next I'll see the SD card. So both of those drives are mounted, and as a result, Dapper has detected that my DAP is connected, and it's going to start scanning my iTunes library. It's checking out the Dapper music playlists, and it's extracting the artwork from those files as necessary. The next thing it's going to do is actually scan my digital audio player drives themselves, and it's going to compare what's on my DAP already to what is in iTunes. And any changes, it's going to go ahead and sync over to the DAP. Now there's plenty of options for automatically syncing when you plug your DAP in, automatically ejecting when it's done, and cleaning up. There's lots of customizations in terms of how you sort things. So right now I have it set by album artist is what I'm choosing to designate what goes on what card, but you've got lots of options in here as well. There's plenty of options. I'm also having it email me. So when it's done sending and syncing this over, it'll actually page me and send me the information about what has been done on the DAP. I've got various different other options in here. Lots more options in terms of how you want to clean up the data on your DAP, whether you actually wanted to do a trial run only and not actually copy new files. And then I can customize my playlist if I want to. And then of course, if you have a DAP, you can set it automatically by selecting it from this drop-down list, or in fact, Dapper will automatically find the DAP when you plug it in, figure out if it's got settings for it, and automatically set up for you. But going back to my library, we've got a little less than a minute remaining to scan the internal storage on this digital audio player. And what it'll do next is it will check the external storage. Now in the case of a DAP like an X5, where it can actually check both of the storage locations at the same time, it will do that where possible. So in the Astle and Kern, I have to do one side at a time, simply because Astle and Kern support is a little bit sketchy on the Mac. But if you have a different player like a FIO player, it can actually check both the internal storage and the external storage at the same time. And of course, this will go a lot faster. Now, once you've already synced once, since Dapper already will know what's on that storage card, it'll remember it between syncs. So the next time I do this, this particular portion won't need to be done because the Dapper application will already know what is on my Dapper. And so as a result, it only has to synchronize new things. But for the moment, because this is the first time I've synced, it's checking every single file on the storage card to make sure what is there and what is not. All right, we have a little more than a minute remaining. One of the interesting options in here is that you can tell Dapper to only warn you when a certain amount of data is going to change on the card. Now, in this particular case, under my options, I'm actually telling it that I want to hear the summary or see a summary before it actually makes any changes. What that's going to do is it's automatically going to display a screen for me that tells me what's going to change on the DAP. I can go into options and say I don't want to see the summary, in which case what Dapper is going to do is it's automatically going to copy things over and not ask me ahead of time whether I'm okay with it. The really nice thing is you can actually choose here how much of a warning you want. So for example, I can say, well, when more than 512 megs is going to change, then absolutely give me a display and let me know what's going to change so I can select not to. But I'm okay with it because I know I've added a couple of songs. I'm also okay with Dapper automatically changing any amount of data under 512 megs. Anything over that I'm worried about because it might be touching more music than I'm expecting. So let's see what happens. It's going to finish checking that card. It's removing empty files and empty folders that exist on the card, so I don't get folders on there that are garbage that have nothing in them. Now what it's doing is it's saving each of the playlists that was in iTunes over to my DAP. And what it's going to do is it's going to remove the Dapper part of the playlist. So for example, this playlist is called Dapper New 50 Songs on iTunes. So it's going to copy that over to the DAP. It's going to reformat that playlist correctly so that the music that's on the left-hand card or the right-hand card is properly referenced inside the playlist. And once it's done copying the playlists over, it's going to copy any new music over to my DAP as well. Now it's doing the same thing for the external card. And now it's copying over the new music that I put in iTunes. You'll see at the top bar here, in the title bar, you can tell how much it's copied, how fast it's copying, and what percentage complete it is when it's copying files over as well. Alright, so it's done copying. It's going to clean up any files that don't need to be on the card. So for example, if you've noticed in your player that you see spotlight files and other things that can't be played, it actually cleans that up optionally. It's going to clean up both cards, and it's then going to eject my DAP. Alright, so it's about to finish, and I have mine set up to automatically sync, automatically eject the drives, and then automatically close Dapper down so that it minimizes back up to the Dapper icon in my menu bar. So there we go. You'll see that the Dapper icon has changed back to orange and it's ready to go. If I make changes in iTunes, they will show up and this will turn red again. Now I've just received a text on my iPhone, which is the email that got sent to me. It tells me how much was copied, how long it took, etc. Let's have a look at some of the options in here. So from an automation perspective, you can automatically start Dapper when you log in. You can start it hidden so it doesn't open up this window, but it remains in your menu bar here. You can automatically sync when a DAP connects. So that's how I have mine set up. When I plug in my AK100, it detects it, automatically starts a sync. When it does sync, I want this window to pop to the front, so that's why I have this thing checked. If I don't have this checked, it will actually do all of that synchronization in the back end and you don't need to see it. It's automatically going to remove the hidden files from my DAP. So those are, for example, the spotlight files that show up as garbage when you're actually browsing on the DAP itself. And when it's done, it's going to disconnect my DAP. From a customization perspective, I have my information here split by album artist. I could have that split by various different things. So I could use it based on album and have albums A through H on the left and albums I through Z on the right. And you notice there's plenty of capability here. You can even do it by comments if you want to set something up manually yourself. I only want to hear from Dapper if more than 112 megabytes is going to be changed, in which case it's not going to simply copy. It's going to pop up a message to me first asking me if that's okay. And it'll tell me exactly how much is going to change, and I can in fact even drill down and see more. When it's done synchronizing, it sends me that email. When it copies, it's automatically going to capitalize my file names and extensions of the file that goes onto the DAP. That's very useful for keeping things organized. And I don't have it storing information in a particular folder because my DAP drives, I just want to have that music placed directly on them. In options, you can force Dapper to show you the summary of changes that's going to be made before it makes them. In this particular case, for this particular DAP, I copy to one side and then I copy to the other. If I was, for example, on a FiO X5, I could uncheck this and it'll in fact copy to both drives at the same time. I want it to not automatically empty, or I want it to empty folders when it's done. In some cases, you may not want to do this simply because it goes faster. So what this is going to do is if it finds any empty folders on the DAP when it's done, it's going to remove those. As I said, Dapper will only scan once on the DAP and then it'll remember what is on that DAP the next time you sync. You can choose to have it scan the DAP every single time that it runs, however. If you are using multiple DAPs, you might want to choose not to detect a new DAP whenever it connects. This is a feature of Dapper. When you plug in a new digital audio player that we recognize, we ask if you want to get it set up. You can actually disable that by checking this checkbox. I'm using SyncMate. So for an Astle & Kern AK102, 122 or a 240, we actually use the SyncMate service to get at the DAP because it doesn't natively show up as a drive on the Mac. And so this is for people who have the SyncMate service installed. You can have Dapper run through everything and not actually copy or delete music. That's what this trial run option is. And it will run through everything as if it was going to do it, but not actually make changes for your DAP if you want to see what it's going to do. Waiting for all threads to eject the disks. Once again, if I have it single threaded, so it's going to copy to one and then it's going to copy to the other. In some cases, you don't want it to eject those disks separately. You want to eject them at the same time, and that is in fact the case for the Astle & Kern. Most of these options will automatically be set for you based on your DAP when you plug it in. And then for those who want to manually manage their libraries, you can actually have it never delete any files off of your DAP, so it'll only copy new files over if you want to manually curate your music on the DAP as well. Playlist options also can be set. Those are going to be things that you can customize if you have a DAP that we don't support automatically. If you do, you can play with some of these settings and have it automatically write the right kind of file for your digital audio player. And then finally, in utilities, there are lots of different things that you can do here. First of all, you can select your DAP from the list and it will offer to automatically set those settings for you. If you have a digital audio player that we do not support, that is not in this list, and you have it up and running in Dapper, we encourage you to select the Add My DAP because it will allow us to incorporate your player into our list of recommended DAPs. You can reset Dapper if you want to start from scratch again. You can generate logs for support. If you need to ask us for more support and we ask you for logs, this button will allow you to generate those log files for us and send them to us. You can manually update the DAP list to download new Dapper configurations from us. Dapper is only going to synchronize when it sees changes in iTunes. So for example, if I look here, you'll see that it's synced. And if I plug my DAP in, it wouldn't make any changes because it assumes that nothing has changed in iTunes. It actually looks at the iTunes file and sees when the last time it was changed. If I click this button, it will clear that, so it'll force a new synchronization. So normally if you're in iTunes, you add music, obviously the date on your iTunes changes. If you need to force a synchronization, you can click on this and then you'll see that Dapper will be ready to sync. You can clear warning messages so that you get warnings again. If you need to clear the entire database, I mentioned how Dapper keeps track of what it thinks is on your DAP. If you clear the database, you can clear all that information. You can get to our tutorials page by simply clicking on this button, in which case you can read and see some of the tutorials, such as the one that you're looking at right now. We would love if you have synchronized Dapper a couple of times, you're comfortable with it, you've played with the options and you like it, we would love for you to submit a review for us online. And last but not least, if you want to get rid of Dapper, you can always quit it. Or in my particular case, I'm just going to hide it back up in the menu bar, waiting for me to connect again.